Sometimes the person you're meant to love is already sleeping in the room next door. And all it takes is one vulnerable moment to change everything forever. The small apartment felt different that Tuesday evening. Maybe it was the way the autumn rain tapped against the windows, or maybe it was something else entirely. Alex had been living with Jordan for almost 9 months now, and they had fallen into a comfortable routine that felt safe and predictable. Every morning, Alex would wake up first, make coffee for both of them, and leave a cup on the kitchen counter before heading to classes. Jordan would stumble out of bed 20 minutes later, always running late, always grateful for that waiting cup of warmth. They shared groceries, split the bills, and had movie nights every Friday without fail. But there was something unspoken between them, something that hung in the air like morning mist. They were friends, good friends, but there were moments when their eyes would meet across the small living room and something electric would pass between them. Neither had ever mentioned it. Neither had ever dared. Alex was sitting on their worn couch that evening, textbooks spread across the coffee table like fallen leaves. The accounting homework seemed impossible tonight, numbers blurring together on the page. Outside, the October wind howled through the trees, making the old building creak and settle. The sound of keys jingling in the lock made Alex look up. Jordan pushed through the door, shoulders sagging under the weight of an invisible burden. Their usual bright smile was nowhere to be found, replaced by something tired and broken. "Hey," Alex said softly, closing the textbook. "Long day at work?" Jordan dropped their backpack by the door and leaned against the wall for a moment, eyes closed. You could say that. There was something different in Jordan's voice, something that made Alex's chest tighten with concern. In all their months of living together, Jordan had always been the optimistic one, the one who found silver linings in every cloud, who made Alex laugh even on the worst days. "Want to talk about it?" Alex asked, moving the books aside to make room on the couch. Jordan hesitated for a long moment, then walked over and collapsed beside Alex with a heavy sigh. "I got a call from home today." The words hung between them like a confession. Jordan rarely talked about family, rarely mentioned the small town they had left behind to come to college. Alex had learned not to push, understanding that some topics were too tender to touch. "My dad's sick," Jordan continued, voice barely above a whisper. "Really sick. Mom says they don't know how much time he has left." Alex felt the bottom drop out of their stomach. Without thinking, they reached over and placed a gentle hand on Jordan's arm. "Oh no, I'm so sorry." Jordan's eyes filled with tears that had been building all day. "The worst part is I can't even afford to go home and see him. Between rent and tuition and everything else, I've got maybe $50 to my name until next payday." Alex watched as Jordan's carefully constructed composure began to crumble. The strong, independent person who had been their anchor for so many months was falling apart right in front of them, and Alex felt completely helpless. "There's more," Jordan said, voice cracking. "Mom lost her job last month. She's been trying to keep it from me, but now with Dad's medical bills piling up, they might lose the house." The tears came then, quiet at first, then building into deep, shaking sobs that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside Jordan's chest. Alex felt their own eyes burning with sympathy and something deeper, something that had been growing between them for months without either of them acknowledging it. "Hey," Alex said softly, sliding closer on the couch. "Hey, it's going to be okay." Jordan laughed through their tears, but it was a bitter sound. "How can it be okay? My family is falling apart. I'm barely keeping my head above water here, and I feel like such a terrible person for staying in school instead of going home to help." "You're not terrible," Alex said firmly. "You're here because your parents wanted you to have a better life. They sacrificed so you could have opportunities they never had." Jordan looked up then, eyes red and swollen, but there was something grateful in their expression. "You really think so?" "I know so," Alex said, "and we'll figure out the rest. Maybe there are emergency loans available, or work-study programs that pay better. Maybe we can start a small fundraiser online. There are options, we just have to find them." The rain continued to patter against the windows, creating a cocoon of sound around them. The apartment felt smaller somehow, more intimate, as if the rest of the world had faded away, leaving just the two of them in this moment of raw honesty. "I've never told anyone this stuff before," Jordan admitted, wiping their eyes with the back of their hand. "About my family, about money, about any of it. I always tried to pretend everything was fine. You don't have to pretend with me, Alex said quietly. Ever. Something shifted in Jordan's expression then, a wall coming down that had been carefully maintained for months. You know what's crazy? Living with you these past months has been the happiest I've been in years. Even with all the stress and uncertainty, coming home to you every day made everything feel manageable. Alex felt their heart skip a beat. The words hung in the air between them, loaded with meaning that neither had been brave enough to speak before. I feel the same way, Alex admitted, voice barely audible, when I hear your key in the lock every evening. It's like the best part of my day is just beginning. Jordan turned to face Alex fully, and suddenly the space between them on the small couch seemed both too much and not nearly enough. The comfortable friendship they had maintained for so long was transforming into something else, something that felt both thrilling and terrifying. Alex, Jordan said softly, and there was a question in their voice, in their eyes, in the way they leaned slightly forward. Yeah? What are we doing here? It was the question that had been hovering between them for months, the elephant in the room that they had both chosen to ignore. But now, with Jordan's walls down and honesty flowing between them like water, there was no avoiding it anymore. Alex looked into Jordan's eyes and saw their own feelings reflected there, all the unspoken moments and stolen glances and careful boundaries that had defined their relationship. The fear was still there, the uncertainty about what came next, but underneath it was something stronger. I don't know, Alex said honestly, but I know I don't want to keep pretending that what I feel for you is just friendship. The confession hung between them like a bridge, and Alex held their breath waiting to see if Jordan would cross it or turn away. Outside, the rain continued its gentle percussion against the glass, and somewhere in the building a door closed with a soft click. Jordan reached out then, fingers brushing against Alex's hand with the lightest touch. Neither do I. The silence that followed Alex's confession felt like it lasted forever, though it was probably only a few seconds. Jordan's fingers were still touching Alex's hand, that gentle contact creating warmth that seemed to spread through Alex's entire body. The rain outside had softened to a gentle whisper against the windows, and somewhere in the distance, they could hear the muffled sounds of their neighbors living their own lives. Jordan's eyes searched Alex's face, as if looking for any sign that the words might be taken back, that this moment might disappear like so many almost moments before it. But Alex didn't look away, didn't pull their hand back, didn't try to laugh it off or pretend it was a joke. You know, Jordan said finally, voice soft and wondering. I thought I was going crazy these past few months. All those times I caught you looking at me, or when we'd accidentally brush hands reaching for the same thing, or when we'd fall asleep watching movies and wake up practically cuddled together on the couch. Alex felt their cheeks warm. You noticed all that? How could I not? Jordan laughed, and it was a different sound than the bitter laughter from earlier. This was lighter, almost musical. I started making excuses to spend more time in the common areas, hoping you'd join me. I'd take longer getting ready in the morning just so we might run into each other in the kitchen. The admission made Alex's heart do something complicated in their chest. All those months of wondering, of second-guessing every interaction, of lying awake at night replaying conversations and wondering if there was something more behind Jordan's smiles. I did the same thing, Alex admitted. I started making your favorite coffee blend instead of mine, just because I loved seeing your face light up in the mornings. And those Friday movie nights, I always let you pick what we watched, even when you chose those terrible romantic comedies. Hey, Jordan protested, but they were smiling now. Really smiling for the first time all evening. Those movies aren't terrible. They're optimistically unrealistic. That's just a fancy way of saying terrible, Alex teased, and suddenly they were both laughing, the heavy weight of the evening's earlier conversation lifting slightly. But as their laughter faded, the awareness of what was happening between them returned. Jordan's thumb was now tracing small circles on Alex's hand, such a simple touch but one that sent electricity shooting up Alex's arm. So what happens now? Jordan asked, voice barely above a whisper. Alex looked at their joined hands, then back up at Jordan's face. In the soft lamplight, Jordan looked younger somehow, more vulnerable than Alex had ever seen them. The confident, put-together person who faced every challenge with a smile was gone, replaced by someone real and uncertain and beautiful. I don't know, Alex said honestly. This is new for me. All of it, Jordan nodded slowly. Me too. I've had crushes before, but nothing like this. Nothing that felt so important, Alex suggested. Yeah, important. Jordan paused, then added, scary. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both lost in their own thoughts. The apartment felt different now, charged with possibility and uncertainty in equal measure. Every familiar corner seemed to hold new meaning, as if they were seeing their shared space through completely different eyes. Can I ask you something? Jordan said eventually. Anything. When did you first realize that you felt more than friendship, I mean? Alex thought about it, trying to pinpoint the exact moment when their feelings had shifted from platonic to something deeper. Remember about a month ago when you got sick with that awful flu? Jordan groaned. I was a complete mess. I couldn't keep anything down. I had a fever and I probably looked like death warmed over. You did look pretty rough, Alex agreed, smiling at the memory. But I spent the whole weekend taking care of you, bringing you soup and medicine and cool washcloths for your forehead. And at some point, while I was sitting on the edge of your bed checking your temperature, it just hit me. What hit you? That I could do this forever. Take care of you, I mean. Not just when you're sick, but always. In all the ways that matter. Alex felt vulnerable admitting it, but also relieved to finally put the feeling into words. It scared me at first because it felt so big, so much more than anything I'd felt before. Jordan's eyes had gone soft and bright. For me, it was last week, when I was stressing about that huge presentation for my marketing class and you stayed up until 3 in the morning helping me practice. You must have heard me run through it 20 times, but you never complained. You just kept encouraging me, kept telling me I was going to be great. You were great, Alex said. You aced that presentation. That's not the point, Jordan said, squeezing Alex's hand gently. The point is that nobody had ever believed in me like that before. My whole life I've had to prove myself over and over again. But with you, it was just automatic. Like you saw something in me that I didn't even know was there. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Alex felt something shifting inside their chest. Walls they hadn't even known they'd built starting to crumble. They had spent so much energy over the past months trying to maintain appropriate boundaries, trying to be a good friend and nothing more, that they had almost convinced themselves their feelings weren't real. But they were real. Sitting here in the gentle lamplight with Jordan's hand in theirs, everything felt more real than it had in months. I'm scared, Alex admitted quietly. Of what? Of ruining this. What we have, I mean. You're not just someone I have feelings for, you're my best friend. You're the person I trust most in the world. If we try to be something more and it doesn't work out. Jordan was quiet for a long moment considering this. I'm scared too, they said finally. But I'm more scared of wondering what if for the rest of my life. Of always looking back and wishing I'd been brave enough to see where this could go. Alex felt their breath catch. There was something in Jordan's voice, a determination that cut through all the uncertainty and fear. Besides, Jordan continued, and now there was a hint of that familiar playful smile. We're already doing most of the relationship stuff anyway. We live together, we share meals, we take care of each other when we're sick. We have inside jokes and movie nights and we know each other's weird habits. You mean like how you always eat the marshmallows out of the cereal first? Alex asked, feeling some of their own tension dissolve. Exactly. And like how you organize the bookshelf by color instead of author, which is completely insane but somehow perfect. They were both smiling now, the heavy atmosphere lifting into something warmer and more hopeful. Alex realized that Jordan was right. They had been living like a couple in everything but name for months now. The only thing missing was acknowledging what they both felt. So, Alex said slowly, hypothetically speaking, if we decided to see where this goes, hypothetically speaking, Jordan agreed, eyes twinkling. What would that look like? Jordan pretended to consider this very seriously. Well, I imagine we'd still live together, still have movie nights, still take care of each other. But maybe... They paused, suddenly shy. Maybe sometimes we'd hold hands while we watch movies, and maybe I could tell you how beautiful you look in the morning when you think nobody's watching. Alex felt their cheeks flush warm. You think I'm beautiful in the morning? Even with crazy hair and no makeup? Especially then, Jordan said softly, and there was no teasing in their voice now. Just honesty that made Alex's heart race. The space between them on the couch seemed to shrink without either of them consciously moving. Alex could see the little flecks of gold in Jordan's brown eyes, could count the freckles scattered across their nose. They were close enough now that Alex could feel Jordan's breath, warm and sweet. "Can I kiss you?" Jordan whispered, and the question was so gentle, so full of hope and uncertainty that Alex felt something inside them break open completely. Instead of answering with words, Alex closed the remaining distance between them. The first thing Alex noticed when they woke up was how different the morning light looked. It was the same October sun streaming through the same bedroom window, but somehow everything felt softer, warmer, like the world had been wrapped in golden tissue paper while they slept. The second thing they noticed was the gentle weight of Jordan's arm draped across their waist, and the steady rhythm of Jordan's breathing against their shoulder. For a moment, Alex lay perfectly still, afraid that any movement might break whatever spell had settled over them during the night. They had talked until nearly 3 in the morning, sharing stories and fears and dreams they had never voiced before. At some point, exhaustion had won over excitement, and they had fallen asleep curled together on Alex's narrow bed, fully clothed but closer than they had ever been before. Now, in the quiet morning light, reality was starting to creep back in. What had felt so natural and right in the darkness suddenly seemed complicated in the harsh light of day. What did this mean for their friendship? For their living situation? For the careful balance they had maintained for almost a year? Alex felt Jordan stir beside them, a soft sigh escaping as they slowly returned to consciousness. For a brief moment, Jordan's arm tightened around Alex's waist, an unconscious gesture that made Alex's heart flutter. Then awareness crept in and Jordan went very still. "Good morning," Alex whispered, not daring to turn around and face whatever expression might be on Jordan's face. There was a long pause, and Alex held their breath, waiting. Were they about to get the speech about how last night was a mistake? About how they should pretend it never happened and go back to being just friends? Instead, Jordan's voice came soft and slightly rough with sleep. "Hi." Just that one word, but it carried so much warmth that Alex felt some of their anxiety melt away. Slowly, carefully, Alex turned in Jordan's arms until they were face to face on the small pillow. Jordan's hair was sticking up in about 6 different directions and there were pillow creases on their cheek, but their eyes were bright and alert. "How did you sleep?" Jordan asked, and there was something shy in their voice, as if they weren't quite sure how to navigate this new territory either. "Better than I have in months," Alex admitted. And it was true. Despite all the emotional intensity of the night before, they had slept deeply and peacefully, more relaxed than they could remember being in a long time. Jordan smiled, a small private smile that made Alex's stomach do little flips. "Me too." They lay there for a moment just looking at each other in the morning light, both seeming to memorize this moment, this first morning of whatever they were becoming. Alex could hear the familiar sounds of their building waking up around them, doors closing in the hallway, water running in the apartment above, the distant hum of traffic starting to build on the street below. "So," Jordan said eventually, "I guess we should probably talk about what happens now." Alex felt a flutter of nervousness. "What do you want to happen now?" Jordan was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Honestly, I want to take you to breakfast. I want to hold your hand while we walk to that little cafe you like, the one with the terrible coffee but amazing pancakes. I want to sit across from you and not have to pretend that I don't think you're the most interesting person I've ever met." The words were so simple, so honest that Alex felt tears prick at the corners of their eyes. "That sounds perfect," they said softly. "But I also want to be careful," Jordan continued. "This is important to me, Alex. You're important to me. I don't want to rush into anything and mess it up because we didn't think it through." Alex nodded, understanding. "What are you thinking? Maybe we take it slow? See how this feels day by day? We don't have to put labels on it right away or figure out all the details immediately. We just see where it goes?" It was such a Jordan thing to say, practical and thoughtful but also optimistic. Alex reached up and brushed a piece of Jordan's messy hair away from their forehead, marveling at how natural the gesture felt. "I like that idea," Alex said. "Though I have to warn you, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never felt like this about anyone before." Jordan caught Alex's hand and pressed it gently against their cheek. "Good thing we're figuring it out together then." The moment was interrupted by the sound of Alex's alarm clock buzzing angrily from the nightstand. Jordan groaned and buried their face in the pillow. "What time is it?" Alex reached over to turn off the alarm, very aware of how the movement brought them even closer to Jordan. 7:30. I have that economics class at 9. Right, and I have to open the bookstore at 10. Jordan sighed and reluctantly started to sit up. Back to the real world, I guess. But as Jordan moved to get up, Alex caught their hand. Hey, they said softly. This is real world too. This thing between us, it's not separate from everything else. It's part of it now. Jordan's expression softened and they leaned down to press a gentle kiss to Alex's forehead. You're right. I guess I'm just scared that if we go back to our normal routines, last night will start to feel like a dream. Then we make new routines, Alex said, surprising themselves with their certainty. Little things that remind us this is real, like maybe I make your coffee the way you actually like it, instead of the way I thought you liked it. And maybe you stop pretending you don't want to watch romantic comedies with me. Jordan laughed. Deal. But I draw the line at admitting they're good movies. We'll work on that, Alex said, grinning. The next hour passed in a strange mixture of normal and completely different. They took turns in the bathroom, getting ready for their respective days. But now there were small touches and shared glances that hadn't been there before. Jordan kissed Alex's cheek while passing them in the hallway. Alex squeezed Jordan's shoulder while reaching for a coffee mug. Small things, but they felt monumental. As they were both getting ready to leave, Jordan paused at the door, keys in hand. I keep thinking I should be more nervous about this, they said thoughtfully. About changing our friendship, about what people might think, about all the ways this could go wrong. But you're not? Alex asked, shouldering their backpack. I am a little. But mostly I just feel excited. Like something I didn't even know I was waiting for is finally happening. Alex felt a warmth spread through their chest. I know exactly what you mean. They walked to the campus together, just like they had dozens of times before. But now Jordan's hand brushed against Alex's as they walked. And when they stopped at the intersection where they usually went separate ways, Jordan hesitated. This is weird, Jordan said, but they were smiling. I don't know how to say goodbye to you anymore. Why do you have to say goodbye differently? Alex asked. Because everything's different now. Good different, but different. Alex looked around at the other students hurrying past them. Everyone caught up in their own lives and concerns. On impulse, they stepped closer to Jordan and gave them a quick, soft kiss on the lips. It lasted maybe 2 seconds, but it felt like a promise. How's that for different? Alex asked, pulling back with a grin. Jordan's eyes went wide, then lit up with delight. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. They parted ways then, heading to their respective classes, but Alex found themselves smiling for no apparent reason all morning. During economics lecture, they kept replaying moments from the night before and that morning. The way Jordan had looked at them in the morning light. The way their hand had felt pressed against Jordan's cheek. The promise in that simple goodbye kiss. By lunchtime, Alex had received 3 text messages from Jordan. The first was a photo of the terrible coffee at the bookstore with the caption, "Missing your coffee already." The second was a picture of a customer's dog that had wandered into the store. The third simply said, "Can't wait to see you tonight." Each message made Alex's heart do little jumps of happiness. They were really doing this. They were really taking this leap together, and so far, it felt like flying rather than falling. When Alex got home that afternoon, they found Jordan already there, sitting at their small kitchen table with textbooks spread everywhere, and a look of intense concentration on their face. But the moment they heard Alex's key in the lock, Jordan's whole face lit up. "Hey," Jordan said, and there was so much warmth and happiness in that simple greeting that Alex felt their knees go a little weak. "Hey yourself," Alex replied, dropping their backpack and walking over to where Jordan was sitting. Without overthinking it, Alex leaned down and kissed the top of Jordan's head, breathing in the familiar scent of their shampoo. Jordan reached up and caught Alex's hand, intertwining their fingers. "How was your day?" Jordan asked, and somehow the question felt different now, more intimate. Like they were both acknowledging that their days apart mattered more now because they were building something together. "Better now," Alex said honestly, and Jordan's smile could have powered the entire building. 3 weeks had passed since that rainy October night when everything changed between Alex and Jordan, and life had settled into a new rhythm that felt both exciting and comfortable. They were still figuring things out, still learning how to be more than friends. But each day brought small discoveries that made Alex's heart feel fuller than it ever had before. The morning routine had evolved naturally. Alex still woke up first and made coffee, but now Jordan would appear in the kitchen while it was brewing, hair messy from sleep, and wrapped their arms around Alex from behind while they waited for their cups to fill. It was such a simple thing, but it made even the earliest mornings feel warm and promising. Their Friday movie nights had transformed too. Instead of sitting on opposite ends of the couch with careful space between them, they now curled up together under the soft blue blanket Jordan's grandmother had made. Jordan still picked terrible romantic comedies, but Alex had stopped complaining because watching Jordan laugh at the cheesy jokes was better than any movie ever made. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Alex had never been in a relationship that felt this important before, and sometimes the intensity of their feelings scared them. There were moments when they would catch themselves pulling back slightly, not because they wanted to, but because caring this much about someone felt dangerous. Jordan seemed to sense these moments of hesitation and never pushed. Instead, they would offer quiet reassurance through small gestures, a gentle touch on Alex's arm, a favorite snack appearing on their desk during study sessions, or simply being present without needing to fill every silence with words. The real test came during finals week in November. Alex had always been a stressed student, but this semester felt particularly overwhelming. Between their economics classes, part-time job at the campus library, and the constant worry about graduating with decent grades, they felt like they were barely keeping their head above water. It started on a Tuesday morning when Alex's alarm didn't go off and they woke up 45 minutes late. In their rush to get ready, they spilled coffee on their only clean shirt, couldn't find their economics textbook, and realized they had forgotten about a paper that was due that afternoon. By the time they made it to campus, Alex was already fighting back tears of frustration. The day only got worse from there. Their professor announced a surprise quiz in their morning class. Their computer crashed while they were trying to finish the forgotten paper in the library, and their boss at work asked them to stay late to help with inventory. When Alex finally dragged themselves home at nearly midnight, they found Jordan waiting up for them on the couch, surrounded by their own textbooks and notes but clearly struggling to concentrate. "Hey," Jordan said softly, looking up as Alex stumbled through the door. "Rough day?" That simple question, asked with such genuine concern, was all it took. Alex's carefully held composure cracked completely, and they found themselves sobbing right there in their tiny entryway, overwhelmed by everything they had been holding inside. Jordan was beside them in an instant, strong arms wrapping around Alex and holding them close while they fell apart. They didn't try to fix anything or offer solutions. They just held on and let Alex cry until there were no tears left. "I can't do this," Alex whispered against Jordan's shoulder. "I'm failing at everything. School, work, being a decent person. I feel like I'm drowning and I don't know how to swim anymore." Jordan pulled back just enough to look at Alex's face, their hands gentle on Alex's cheeks. "You're not failing at anything. You're dealing with more pressure than anyone should have to handle, and you're still here. You're still fighting. That's not failing, that's being incredibly strong." "I don't feel strong," Alex said, voice barely audible. "That's okay," Jordan said simply. "You don't have to feel strong right now. That's what I'm here for." What happened next surprised Alex completely. Instead of trying to cheer them up or distract them from their problems, Jordan simply took care of the practical things. They made Alex a cup of tea and a simple sandwich, ran a warm bath, and gathered all of Alex's scattered homework materials into organized piles. While Alex soaked in the bath, feeling some of the tension leave their muscles, they could hear Jordan moving quietly around the apartment. When they finally emerged, wrapped in their softest pajamas, they found that Jordan had transformed their small living space into something that felt like a sanctuary. The harsh overhead lights were off, replaced by the warm glow of the small lamps they usually only used for movie nights. Jordan's laptop was set up on the coffee table with Alex's half-finished paper pulled up on the screen. Their textbooks were organized in neat stacks, and there was a plate of the chocolate chip cookies Jordan had been saving for a special occasion sitting nearby. "I thought maybe we could work on this together," Jordan said, patting the couch beside them. "I'm pretty good at proofreading, and I promise I won't judge your first draft." Alex felt something tight in their chest loosen. They had been so used to handling everything alone, to pushing through difficult times by sheer force of will, that they had forgotten what it felt like to have someone genuinely want to help. They settled beside Jordan on the couch, and for the next 3 hours they worked together in comfortable quiet. Jordan read through Alex's paper draft, offering gentle suggestions and encouragement. They helped Alex organize their notes for the next day's classes and even quizzed them on economics terms until Alex felt confident again. But it wasn't just the practical help that meant everything to Alex. It was the way Jordan never made them feel like a burden. The way they seemed genuinely happy to spend their evening helping instead of working on their own assignments. The way they celebrated each small accomplishment as if it were a major victory. When they finally called it a night, Alex felt more grateful than they could put into words. As they were getting ready for bed, Jordan appeared in the bathroom doorway while Alex was brushing their teeth. "Can I ask you something?" Jordan said, leaning against the doorframe. Alex nodded, mouth full of toothpaste. "Why didn't you tell me how stressed you were getting? I've been watching you get more and more overwhelmed for weeks, but every time I asked if you were okay, you said you were fine." Alex finished brushing and rinsed their mouth, buying time to think about the question. When they turned to face Jordan, they felt vulnerable but determined to be honest. "I guess I didn't want you to think I couldn't handle my own life," Alex said quietly. "We're still figuring out what this is between us. And I was afraid that if you saw how much of a mess I really am, you might decide it wasn't worth it." Jordan's expression softened into something that was part sadness and part understanding. "Alex, look at me." Alex met their eyes, seeing nothing but warmth and certainty there. "You could never be too much for me," Jordan said firmly. "Your struggles don't make you less worthy of love or support. They make you human. And I would much rather help you through difficult times than watch you suffer alone because you think you have to be perfect for me." The words hit Alex like a physical force, and they felt tears threatening again. But these were different tears. These were tears of relief, of gratitude, of something that felt suspiciously like hope. "I've never had anyone want to help me like this before," Alex admitted. "In my family, you were expected to figure things out on your own. Asking for help was seen as weakness." "Well, your family was wrong," Jordan said gently. "Asking for help takes courage. And letting people who care about you actually care about you? That's not weakness, that's trust." They stood there in the small bathroom, looking at each other in the harsh fluorescent light, and Alex felt something fundamental shift inside them. For the first time in their life, they were with someone who didn't need them to be perfect. Someone who saw their struggles and wanted to help rather than judge. "I love you," Alex said suddenly, the words tumbling out before they could stop them. Jordan's eyes went wide, then bright with happiness. "I love you too," they said softly. "I have for weeks, but I was waiting for the right moment to say it." "This is the right moment," Alex said, reaching for Jordan's hands. "This is exactly the right moment." Later, as they lay in Alex's bed together, Jordan's arms wrapped securely around them, Alex marveled at how different they felt. The stress and anxiety were still there. Finals week wasn't magically going to become easy. But underneath it all was a new foundation of trust and support that made everything feel manageable. "Jordan?" Alex whispered into the darkness. Thank you. For tonight, for everything. For showing me what it feels like to not have to carry everything alone." Jordan pressed a soft kiss to the back of Alex's neck. "Thank you for letting me help. For trusting me enough to let me see the real you even when you're struggling." Alex smiled in the darkness, feeling more peaceful than they had in weeks. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more finals to prepare for, more stress to navigate. But now they knew they wouldn't have to face it alone. They had someone who loved them, not despite their imperfections, but including them. For the first time in their life, Alex understood what it meant to be part of a team.